Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode of Now That You Mention It podcast with Roll, Jay, and RJ. I'm Roll.
I'm Jay.
And I'm RJ.
Sorry.
And we want to thank you for joining us again. For all you people that have stuck with us and given us your time, we hope that you will hit the like and subscribe button. Also, turn on the notifications in the top corner by dinging the little bell. And be on the lookout for our podcast now on Podbeans, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Well, guys, it's been a crazy week since our last conversation. As I shared with you earlier, I'm a little discombobulated today. Been having some technical difficulties, and it's been a long day. I broke with my social distancing protocol and went and played golf today with a client, and sad to say, my golf game has deteriorated to a level of embarrassment for me that is going to hopefully motivate me to get my ass back out there and start hitting better.
So COVID is not only taking out, people's lives, people's businesses, but it's also taking out Roland's golf game, huh?
No, unfortunately, I can't blame that one on COVID. That's just been a lack of, that's been a lack of commitment of getting out to the golf course. What's funny about that, Jay, is you're the one that actually turned me on to golf, because I can remember forever you begging me to go play golf with you. And I kept telling you, that I couldn't stand the game, that it was so boring.
Yeah.
There was just no way. And you kept bugging me. And finally I said, okay, fine, I'll go with you. And of course, I hit a couple of clubs, borrowed some of your clubs and hit a couple of holes. And then after that, it just like everybody else that tries it out, we got hooked.
Honestly, I don't even remember what turned me on to golf. I remember buying my first set of clubs. I bought a set of starter clubs at Walmart. Uh-huh. And I bought it was a whole set. It was a bag. It was driver, irons, and putter, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just the most basic, like, starter kit golf course you could get. And I remember being out at the ranch watching, it wasn't even a time of YouTube, so we couldn't watch videos. I was learning from a book. So mm-hmm. I was reading this book on how to play golf, and it was telling you the proper stance. They told you how, your arm was supposed to be, this and that. And I remember hitting golf balls out at the ranch, out towards your house, standing in front of Dad's house, hitting golf balls at your house. And I remember, you're right. I kept telling you, man, let's go play. And then one day you went out there to the ranch with me, and we just started whipping golf balls across the Pleasant Run over at Janie Freaky's house. I remember we were worried we were going to hit a car going by or something.
Yeah, I remember.
But we were like basically using that as our driving range. And then we went and played, started playing at Stevens Park. And then, our cousin got involved, and we started playing with, remember we used to play with Raul every once a week at Stevens Park.
Well, and that's why I was so frustrated, because, I remember there was a time we got actually pretty good because we were playing every week, and we go to the driving range and just practice. After a while, you can hit some good shots. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, I average about 4 times a year, mainly through tournaments that some of my clients sponsor.
Yeah.
I think the last time you and I played together was actually in the Immaculate Conception tournament that Raul sponsored. Remember?
Yeah, and I think we got rained out on the 5th or 6th hole or something.
Yeah,
like it started raining. We had to go back to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And I can't, man. I remember after that throwing out my back, and that's really what kind of halted my golf game. Was when your back's hurt, and there's no way to play golf.
Right.
And how Tiger Woods was able to continue to play with a bad back for as long as he did before he had the surgery and all that other stuff. And now coming back from back injury, I'm like, man, when I hurt my back, there's no way I would even dream about picking a golf club to go play, because it just hurt. It hurt to walk. Well, I can imagine having to twist and torque and do all that.
Yeah, well, but I mean, Tiger's a world-class athlete, number one. Number two, that's what he
Yeah.
did for a living. So, he got the best of quality care. Plus, he was just a physical specimen. Tiger Woods
He
is
was
the
still
biggest reason that golf really, really took off for everybody that was not white, middle to upper class. In fact, RJ played for a little while. In fact, I got his golf club set here that's been growing cobwebs because I don't think he's actually. I don't. When's the last time we took those out, RJ? I remember Ben and Big J would go hit with us sometimes. But that was
Yeah,
like
it's
you
been
were
a
still in
while.
high school.
No, not even. No, we were already out of high school because we played in that. I remember we played in that tournament with Uncle Simon. It was me, you, Uncle Simon, and who else? Someone else was
Um,
with us.
I'm trying to remember. Was it? It wasn't Ben, was it?
No, I don't. What? I don't think it was one of my friends.
I'm trying to remember. You're right. It was the golf tournament they had in Mansfield.
Yeah, we played in that one,
Yeah.
and I remember because you sponsored a hole, and your sign was on one
Yep.
of the holes
Yeah.
for Leal Rez, and then even when it might have been Uncle Philip or Uncle Renee, I think, who went with us.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it was.
Because remember, for a period of time, the four of us would go out to what's the one over there in Grand Prairie by
Sunset.
I know.
Sunset
yeah,
golf
we would go to Sunset
before they
and go
closed.
hit the driving
Before it
range.
closed.
Yeah, before they closed. So, but it's been about 3-4 years since we last did that. So,
Man,
It's-
we
it's
need to
been a
get we
while.
need to get back into. I really need to get back into a sport. Period. Um, my sports have been fickle. I picked up tennis for a while,
Mhm.
and
I remember you
golf.
played tennis.
And the thing is, especially when I was younger and I had more disposable income because I was single, I would like invest into these things. And I remember when
I
we.
remember you went and bought that $high $dollar bowling ball. Remember when we got into
Oh
bowling?
yeah,
And you had
Yeah, I
that
went-
real
I-
expensive bowling ball.
yeah. It was a cream colored bowling ball. I had my initials engraved in it. I had the fingers fitted so it would mold to my
You had the
hand.
custom
Had a-
bowling ball bag.
Yeah, I had a bag, and that's the thing is, I would get in a sport, and like with the tennis, when I was playing tennis,
I remember.
I actually went and bought 2 Andre Agassi model tennis rackets,
Mhm.
and I had them in my closet at the house in Lancaster. Remember, and I had gone somewhere, I don't remember what, and I think Mom had asked if we're having a garage sale. Was there anything I wanted to sell?
No,
I said, yeah, there's a couple of.
that's not what happened. I know the true
What
story,
happened?
but I'll spare it. No, it's a little embarrassing on you, bro.
I don't remember it.
Well, okay.
ahead.
If you don't mind me
So tell me,
sharing it, so
Go ahead.
remember when you bought that pickup truck that you had customized? I mean, you had that extended cab pickup truck.
Oh, the little blue mini truck.
Yes, and you put
They were in the back.
That's right, when it got repossessed.
Oh, yeah. That was way back when I was young and stupid, man. Hey, it happens, man. You lose a car.
I was like,
Any rate, that just goes to show that when you get obsessed with something, even for a short period of time, the money that you're willing to invest in it. RJ and I were talking while you were, working through your technical difficulties.
right.
And I told him, one of the things that I really want to invest some money in is a new smoker.
Oh yeah.
Because I we have a gas grill, and it's nice, but my background. I worked with Dickies for several years, and I really got into smoking. And I'm good at it. I've always been good with food. So I really want to invest some money in a smoker this year. And RJ, we're talking about the fact that I was like, well, I really would like to get a big green egg, but man, those damn things are expensive, bro.
I know.
Gotta give away an organ to get one.
Oh, I looked into them because they have them right. There's an Ace Hardware down the street, and they sell them. And I looked at them, but you're right. It's hard to justify the cost on that right now, particularly because I bought a Traeger, wood pellet smoker less than 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So, and that one I bought the slightly larger model.
Bin.
So, I mean, that one was like $800. And
Yeah.
so Kathy's like, you just spent a nice nickel on that one. Why are you talking about going and getting another one? And I say, well, maybe because I think I need two.
Well, and you know, the thing about smokers, and I was telling, you know, RJ, is that it really is going to depend on your commitment to smoking anything, because anything that you smoke is going to require time.
Exactly.
Now, with electric smokers are good if you're not willing to sit there and baby it, because you can just basically set it and forget it. With a you know, an electric smoker, the wood pellet smokers are fine. You know, but they do have their problems in the fact that, you know, if the chute that the pellets drop down gets clogged,
right.
You can catch fire not only to the chute, but you can catch fire to the pellets in the bin.
Mm-hmm.
Or if that thing gets clogged high up to where the fire is not affecting it and the pellets don't drop into the fire, well, then not only do you lose heat, but you lose the smoke and basically your time. For me, there's no other way to do it than a good old wood burning smoker. And I think that's what I really want to invest in, is a nice wood burning offset smoker with the understanding that, hey, if I'm going to smoke something, I'm going to commit, you know, 14 hours to smoking a brisket, because the wood is not only going to serve as a smoke source, it's also going to serve as a heat source. So trying to keep it at a constant temperature, making sure that, you know, it doesn't fluctuate too much high or too low. You know, because the thing with smoking, like I was telling RJ, is for the first 2 hours, that's when the smoke is important, because after so much time, whatever meat you're smoking can only absorb so much of the smoke.
Right.
So once it starts to develop that smoke ring, then at that point, you're not getting any more flavor from wood, from pellets, from any other source. The rest of it is just, as you know, heating and cooking. Mm-hmm. So, you know, at that point, if you're going to smoke a good brisket, it's going to take you 12 to 14 hours, depending on the size. And so you're going to have to basically babysit that thing for 12 to 14 hours. So if you're going to smoke with a wood smoker, you have to be committed to it.
Yes.
Because that's, you know, 2/4 or, you know, 2/3 of a day that you're going to commit to that one piece of meat. And I'm down.
And the other thing, to your point, though, if you're going to spend that much time, you want to smoke more than just one cut of meat. You know, you because you want to take advantage of the fact that you're committing all that time. And, you know, back to the Traeger, you're exactly right that it's, as an electric smoker, it does have that advantage. But what I do find is that even though it is designed to maintain a constant temperature, there's still large fluctuations, and so sometimes I would have to keep a constant eye on it, and for a number of reasons. Like you said, the pellets, if the pellets for whatever reason get caught in the chute, the auger isn't picking them up and not carrying them to the fire, so your fire eventually goes out and you lost all your heat, you lost your smoke, and you gotta, you know, that's the worst thing to do is restart. And that has happened to me once or twice before. The other thing is that you know, it's got an internal thermometer, but if that internal thermometer, you got to wipe it down and keep it clean too, because if it becomes coated with grease and soot and stuff, it gives a false temperature, and the auger continues to run and feeding pellets, so the fire gets too hot. So and that may just be a slight malfunction in the design for mine, but whenever I do want to smoke a brisket, I make the commitment that I'm going to get started way early in the morning, and I'm checking on it every hour
Yeah.
just to make sure that the temperature and the pellets are moving, flowing. Um, when done right, it's a great cook. It does well. We use it for cookouts and make burgers and stuff.
Yeah.
But from the smoking perspective, it does a great job. But you even have to keep an eye on it. Now I've seen
Yeah.
some other ones that, like you said, you can even control from your phone. You basically can monitor
Yeah.
the temperature from your phone, and you can also make adjustments from your phone. And that one's pretty cool. But I think I would want to make a commitment like you and really learn to smoke um, with wood and kind of learn how to become very good at it. So I'm with you. If you want to go halvesies, maybe we do.
Keep it at
Well,
one person's house one weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'd be like Debo. Hey, I just keep it at your house for right now.
Right. It'd be like Bofars, but we keep it in my house.
Yeah, but I think that we're coming into the perfect time for with summer coming up. It's something I've been wanting for a couple of years. I just haven't made the commitment, just because for us, we just don't use it as often, and I just don't see myself making the. But here in the last year, I've been like, man, I really want to smoke this, or I really want to smoke that, but I can try it on my gas grill, and I've converted my gas grill to a smoker a couple of times. But like I told RJ, that the advantage of buying a smoker that's designed to smoke is that when they design it, they're sealing it off in all the places where smoke would leak, so that the only place you're losing smoke is through the stack.
Right.
Whereas with my grill, because it's not designed to smoke, it's designed as a grill, smoke flows from everywhere. So it'll smoke, flow from the crevices. It'll flow from the back where there's an opening, and as well as smoking, flowing from the stack. So it's really hard to maintain the smokiness inside the chamber, just because there's too many openings. It's not designed to smoke. It's a grill. So, but you can convert gas grills to smokers, just basically pulling the grates off, putting a pack of foil with soaked wood chips down on top, and letting it heat over there, and kind of offsetting it from there. But it's just, it's not consistent. And that's what I really want to invest in a smoker, so that I can be consistent with it. But yeah, I was telling RJ, I looked into the big green eggs, and hell, even the small model's like $500. And if you want the good one, I told RJ, I don't want to have to finance a smoker.
We'll give you 60 months.
Same as cash.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's one of those things that, it just, like we all have grills. I think you have a grill, don't you, RJ?
Yeah, so that's what I was kind of going to mention, is that, one thing that you guys talked about, I think, is that you really got to have time to commit to it. And, I just don't have the space for, the biggest grill in the world, or, but I don't have the most time either to commit to, smoking at least not right now. Obviously the goal is to get there one day, but I have a charcoal grill. I use it. I'm as much as I can. I'll be moving here soon, so hopefully get a chance to use it a lot more when I have some more space. But even when the last few times that we've cooked out at my dad's, I've been the one cooking, so I do enjoy.
Which is why the meat's a little rough.
Oh man, whatever. Probably the best seasoning you ever had in your life.
RJ, Hank Hill would be disappointed, man.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you guys. So, two questions is, obviously, I know you guys are, wood is number one for you guys, but I guess if you had to rank up the sources, how would you rank them? And then also style, obviously you have your traditional grill, but then you have, things like the green egg, that shape, and then you have people who have turned, the 55 gallon barrel, the drums, into smokers. So
Well,
could
if
rank,
you're
those two categories, how would you guys,
Yeah,
just
well,
from your preference, of course.
well, if you're talking about just straight up grill,
I
honestly,
meant, yeah.
I'm a propane guy, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
simply because I think it's easier to clean. You get an even temperature cook. The thing about charcoal is you got to really know how
What
to
you're
get the coal.
doing.
Yeah, you got to get the coals. You got to know when they're hot
Yeah.
exactly, and you want them to be um, hot evenly throughout the charcoal stack. You don't. And unfortunately, sometimes you get hot spots. You have other areas that the temperature is could be as much as even 10 degrees different because there's just not enough there's not enough embers in that one spot, and so you can get an uneven cook depending on how big your grill is. So for me, propane is just easier. It's cleaner. Charcoal, the other thing too, I mean, even with cooking on wood, is sometimes you can get ash. If you have your the air intake is flowing, and sometimes you'll get ash that comes up, and it's fine. I mean, it really doesn't, to me, it doesn't really affect the flavor of the meat, but some people don't like it.
Well, and in the immortal words of Hank Hill, man, taste the heat or taste the meat, not the heat, right?
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I really don't like charcoal, because unless you're very proficient and you do it on a weekly basis and you know how to work with charcoal, if you're grilling one time a month, one time every 3 months, most people with charcoal will tend to throw a bunch of lighter fluid on there because they get frustrated that they can't get the coals to light up, and
Right.
they don't understand that you need to go buy one of those stackers that you can build the fire inside with the charcoal before you spread it out into the grill. And I mean, it's a lot of work working with charcoal to do it right. And like your dad said, to get it an even heat throughout is almost impossible, because with charcoal, you just get hot spots. And even with a gas grill, you get hot spots, but at least the hot spots are consistent, right? So like on my grill, I know where the hot spots are. I know where I can put hot dogs and where I can put something else, because hot dogs, you don't want to put them over a hot spot because they'll cook real quick, right? You'll burn them. So
Right.
you want those on the low end where they're going to cook slower. And so with a gas or propane grill, at least you can be consistent in knowing where your hot spots are. You're never going to be consistent knowing where hot spots are with charcoal, right? And so for me, smoking, if I'm going to invest money in a smoker, I want the offset smoker just for the to avoid what your dad's talking about with the ash, right? Because at least with the offset smoker, that ash is going to be away from the food so that you're not getting that problem. You'll still be able to create the heat. They take more to maintain, to be even and consistent in the heat, right? And so what I would suggest with a smoker, and one thing that you can't do, bro, because your smoker, that temperature gauge is tied to when the auger releases pellets.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct. Yes.
So with an offset smoker, with a wood smoker, you can actually go and buy at any restaurant supply shop an internal thermometer that has a probe that you insert into the smoker, that has a wire that runs out that you can control from a box on the outside that will give you internal temperatures, hot spots. I mean, it's all programmable. And so that's, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. That's what I'm investing in, just because, like I was telling RJ with Dickies, the smokers that we would use are a combination of wood gas smokers, right? And the chamber, I would call it the dragon whenever I would train people, because it just shoots. It's got a tube in it about this big that just shoots a constant flame out to control the temperature inside the smoker. But it also shoots that flame into the box that holds the wood. So when you're throwing wood in, it will allow you to burn that wood, burn that top layer off, so you're not getting that green smoke. Get to the right, flavor, consistency, and then. The internal part where you cook the meat was kind of like a Ferris wheel. So you would stack meat, and it would have a tray that would just rotate like this. You'd have 8 trays. So it would just rotate like a Ferris wheel. and it would just continue to rotate the meat. And so, but you're talking about with that's a $15,000-$20,000 investment. Because you're doing it professionally. You're smoking large amounts of meat. We would smoke on a busy, let's say for a weekend, we may smoke 14 briskets and 10 pork butts. Because sausage and chicken, that stuff can all smoke within an hour. It's the big hunks of meat like that take time, 12 to 14 hours.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind too, RJ, with a gas grill, particularly because we have a big family. So whenever we would do cookouts as a family, you're trying to get the food cooked as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So if you do charcoal, you got to get there early enough to prep, get it going, get the temperature up to where you need it. And smoking, obviously, that's something you're doing prep the day before and cooking the day before. But if you're just grilling at a party, you're doing fajitas, hamburgers, chicken, hot dogs. The gas grill is really hard to beat because you could just turn it on, give it 5 minutes just to get to where the temperature you want it, and throw the meat on. And as long as you're keeping keeping an eye on the flare ups, because burgers, they have a lot of water in the meat, so they'll always throw off a lot of grease, and you'll get the flare ups. But fajitas pretty much cook evenly. Chicken and hot dogs you can control. But when you're cooking for a bunch of people, like for us, whenever we would have the family cookouts, I'm not talking about 10, I'm talking about 25 people. And you're trying to get quantity, and you're trying to get the burgers on, cooked and off, hamburgers. I mean, what do you call the hot dogs and the chicken? So that's why I always like the gas grill too, because I could just get there, turn it on, get it going, and get cooking. And within 45 minutes, you got all your food cooked and everybody's eating. And, RJ, this, because you and I used to take turns. When you're cooking for a lot of people, man, it's a pain in the ass, especially when it's hot, outside and you're the guy manning the grill and all that, all that heat's hitting you. And I mean, it's nice to have a cold beer, and thankfully we had each other, and we could shoot the shit and have fun doing it. But still, it's a lot of work when you're cooking for a lot of people. And we try to we tried cooking out on charcoal before, and I think Julio's helped us. He's done it a couple of times, but it just gets done quicker, and we're all able to sit down and eat and just spend the rest of our time socializing with each other rather than spending all that time cooking. Yeah,
it is. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something, kid. If you want to do it, let me know. Hell, I'll go with you so we can look at stuff together, kind of figure out what's good for you, what'll work for you. We'll figure it out. We'll socially distance, and we'll wear our mask.
Well, first things first, man. He's got to get out of that small balcony.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
You can't really cook anything off of there.
As soon as I move, I'll let you know.
No problem. Well, guys, that wraps up grill talk, and the second thing that we want to kind of touch on today was something that was very important for America, and with everything that was going on, it kind of got overlooked, especially last week. Our show, we kind of touched on it at the very end, but it was the first launch from the United States of astronauts in since 2006?
No, 2011.
2011, the last
shuttle.
Yeah,
launched from U.S. soil. So we've been sending astronauts over to Russia to fire off into space in those Soyuz rockets. And so then along comes RJ's guy, Elon Musk, with SpaceX. And we got a launch from Cape Canaveral for the first time in forever. And did you guys watch the launch itself?
I didn't watch it live. I had to watch. Unfortunately, I was I can't remember. I think I was actually on an appointment or something, but we wound up watching it on YouTube, and it was really cool. I think that one of the things that it kind of reignited is a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment, and knowing that we still have the ability to do it. I was certainly disappointed when they ended the space shuttle program. But I think it also goes back to kind of what we were talking about a little last week about why I think government is just really incapable of being efficient with our tax dollars. And, you know, for as much money as we spend on our military and for entitlements like welfare and Social Security, we have become overburdened on a number of expenses from the government. And unfortunately, our space program was one of those things that I think just got out of control and wasn't as cost effective. And the other thing that was disappointing is just to hear how much NASA was spending to send our astronauts, you know, just to buy seats on the Russian rockets.
Yeah.
You know, and here we come with American ingenuity, and we turn it over to the private sector. They demonstrated that they're absolutely capable, that we have the technology, and eventually we're going to get our costs down. And again, it goes to show that so there are some benefits from us letting the private sector do certain things.
Yeah,
I think because I think the other group that supposedly was in this race with SpaceX was Boeing. Unfortunately, Boeing is still a couple of years off, but the program I think was designed to create a competitive environment between the two, have friendly competition. But I think it's also meant as a hedge to really try and be efficient with the cost on doing that. Now, the only scary thing is at some point, you know, these groups, SpaceX and even Boeing, they're going to want to take that that ability and start selling it to the private sector, right? I mean, who knows when that's going to happen? 15, 20 years
you know,
from now.
and I think Boeing's problem is the reason why they couldn't keep up with SpaceX is the simple fact that SpaceX was designed to focus on getting people into space, whereas Boeing is, you know, they're worried about their airplane manufacturing and they're worried about their government contracts for fighter planes and
Of course.
you know whatever else they're going on. So their dollars are kind of split into different, you know, they're diversified into different aspects. Whereas SpaceX, its sole purpose is to get somebody into outer space, right? RJ, did you watch the launch live or no?
No. So, you know, originally the launch was scheduled for a Thursday, I believe. And I had it on at the office. But then they had, you know, some weather conditions that forced them to delay. So then it was on Saturday, and I can't remember what I was doing, but I had put it on when they were still doing I think there was like an hour or something left till they launched, and I might have been grilling. I can't remember, but all I know is next thing I know they had already launched. So I watched the replay. You know, obviously it was great to watch. I would say, you know, I think there needs to be more companies in that sector. Obviously, got to take it one step at a time, but you need those other companies like Boeing or whoever comes along next, just so that there's a healthy competition in that market, just because you don't want there to be a monopoly whenever they do privatize, you know, space vacations. So,
well, and you know, a couple of things. I did watch it live. It was awesome. You know, I remember sitting there watching it and just being nervous because we've all seen the footage of the Challenger and the things that can go wrong. You know, I don't know how often you guys get into space, but you know, have you guys ever seen the movie Hidden Figures?
No.
No, oh, you guys need to watch that one because it's a really good it kind of blends the topic that we've talked about the last couple of weeks. It deals with race relations and the fact that it deals with the black women who worked for NASA in the 60s. It helped design the space program, but it also deals with the United States fight with Russia during the 60s to get to space, right? And the things you guys watch that is definitely recommended watching. And I'll tell you what, man, it's very, very moving. How Octavia Spencer or Taj, I can never say her last name, didn't win an Oscar for that is beyond me. And Kevin Costner is phenomenal in that too. Watch that, guys. I guarantee you'll like that one. And that's one role you can watch with Annabelle that, it'll really get her involved because it deals with, women and their place, how we talk about race relations in this time, and we still have an issue with women's rights where women, we talked about this a little bit last week, where women just are not paid the same that men are. So you can imagine what it was like to not only be black in the 60s, but to be a woman in the 60s, a black woman in the 60s, you get double trouble, but watch that, guys. It's really good. But, the point was, I have always been really high up on space. It just interests me. I'm not like, some people who think it's SG, but I watched the launch live, and I remember thinking the whole time, man, first of all, let's get this thing off the ground. And when they did launch and to see it go up and holding your breath for 30 seconds, don't blow up, don't blow up, don't blow up, don't go wrong. It was, it was incredible to watch. It was awesome to see, the thing take off. It was awesome to see the first separation of the first booster. And it was awesome to see the separation of the second booster. So my second point is that the technology that we have today is so much better than we had during the 60s when people were watching the space launch. The second booster, when it released, you guys have seen the video, right? Have you seen the entire video, RJ?
I'm gonna be honest, no.
Watch it, because when the second booster releases from the capsule, that the final booster that sends them into space, it's like an HD, man. Like you can see that thing as clear, like we're looking at the screen now. That's what it looks like there, right? And to all those flat earthers out there that think that the world is not round, we have conclusive evidence that it is. I promise you. You muted your mic, bro. Unmute your mic.
I was saying, great. We barely have a viewership as it is, and now you're insulting the flat earthers, and those people are going to tune us out because now you're basically.
We now have conclusive evidence that the Earth is round, but it was incredible to watch. It was really, really cool, and the thing that amazed me was watching the fact that what SpaceX has been able to do to save money on this whole deal was making that first booster retrievable.
Right.
So to watch where they actually have their drone ship for that booster to come down on, right, was really, really cool to watch too. I mean, it was just a cool experience. It was cool watching that whole deal, man. RJ, invest the time to watch the entire video, watch the whole thing, and to see how fast that thing was going, where they get up to speeds of 15,000 miles an hour. That's hard to imagine, man. I mean, I know, Ro, you used to have a Corvette, right? When we were younger.
Yeah.
And I know that on the tollway, we've gotten over 100 in that car, correct?
Yeah, but I didn't get close to 15,000 miles an hour.
No. But what I'm saying is, you imagine that feeling you had, that like scared shitless feeling of going 100 miles an hour in a car.
Right.
You multiply that by 15 and you're sitting at the top of a damn rocket.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
The
Well,
the intestinal fortitude these guys have to be up there to do that is just off the charts.
well, it should create in us even a heightened sense of reverence for the guys that did it 30, 40 years ago when you didn't have this technology. I mean, could you imagine the cojones that you had to have? Huh?
60s doing that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, and being in outer space and the first time landing on the moon and not knowing whether or not you're going to make it back to Earth. I mean, you want to talk about guys having people having guts.
Yeah.
The space program has always been it was always been cool to me too. I don't think I'm as a geek like you are about it, but it is certainly something that has always intrigued me. It's fascinating. I don't know if you ever get on to the Hubble telescope or anything like that, but every now and then I love looking at images from outer space. I don't think the Hubble telescope is even sending images anymore. We may have lost it, but space is really, it is cool and it is awesome. It's great to see that we're back in the race. I think we'll be able to be more efficient as we learn more and more and more. And obviously computers are even more of a factor now in helping us to gauge efficiencies, to calculate better ways to do this. I mean, it will become an industry where private people will be able to go into outer space. Where they're going to go, I don't know, but they'll be able to go. And again, it is something to be proud of that the U.S. is back in the space game, at least from the standpoint of getting it from here to outer space.
Well, so to draw comparisons, I'm sorry, RJ, I didn't mean to cut you off, but there's a really good show on Netflix called History 101, right? Mm-hmm. And it's episodic. One of the episodes, and their episodes are only like 30 minutes, but there's a history of space travel for the U.S. Watch that one. That's a good one too, guys. What were you going to say, Ajay?
I was going to say, well, I can tell you the first thing that's going to happen once we privatize space is we're going to get to that first, we're going to send people to that first outer layer in space so that they can take selfies, with the Earth in the background. I'm telling you, I promise you, we can place a bet right now. That will be the first.
I can do that with my green screen.
Space vacation. No, but it's not the same.
I can do that with the green screen.
Yeah, but you didn't go to space to get that selfie.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going to happen after that, RJ, is they're going to discover that Thanos is real. That's why you have a picture of him.
That's Elon Musk, man. That's going to be him in outer space. But couple, I guess, statistics and factual things I want to bring up to you guys. So, did you guys know that Elon Musk is actually South African?
No clue.
No. Yeah, he was born in South Africa, but he is an American citizen. Just writing a fact on that. But going back to space, I did not know that SpaceX was founded back in 2002. This company's been around for a while, apparently. And, he's been dedicated to this mission for some time now. But they're the first private company to have a rocket reach orbit, to launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft, to send a spacecraft to the International Space Station, to launch an object, which was a Tesla, into orbit around the sun, and obviously now the first to send astronauts to the International Space Station. The last time NASA did send astronauts to space was 2011, as we mentioned. That was a 9-year gap before this year, and that's the longest gap between missions since the first human space flight in 1961.
Wow,
good stuff, man. That's when you this just goes to show what happens when you have a single-mindedness about one thing. for people out there who say that, there's things that can't be done. If you put your mind to it and you really, really want to get something done, you can. And it's incredible to me. I say incredible. It was really, really fun watching the video live of the launch of SpaceX. And man, it was the thing that I think is cool when you go back and look at, for comparison, those older videos, everything used to be flown kind of like a plane now with levers and pedals and things like that. These guys are flying with a touchscreen, right? So they were able to control that entire module with just touching the screen, override anything they needed to do, as opposed to, directional flight, as opposed to in the past where they would have to actually steer the vehicle. It's all done automatically. And there was, points when during the launch where the commentators were talking about how this computer has taken over this aspect and is now being controlled completely by, AI to make sure that this part's taken, correctly. It was really cool. It's really something to watch. But yeah, RJ, invest the time to go find the video on YouTube. It's about an hour long.
Okay.
But man, it's good stuff, man. It really is. It's really cool to watch.
We're just a few more steps closer to Skynet.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Well, his mission is, to get us to Mars and try to sustain life there. I know he's already, I think, trying to work on, first establishing plant life there. But I think a lot of this, to some extent, has gotten pushed to the background. Obviously, you just have so many more things that distract us nowadays. But I still think, to some extent, for a lot of people, space is a controversial thing to talk about because, I think the thought of there's other things out there kind of goes against people's thought of, God only created us in terms of, sentient beings. I think that's an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. But I think we've made a lot of great discoveries in space besides, this. I can think of two off the top of my head in the last, I think, year or two. I don't know if you guys know this, but they've discovered a universe where I think either it's one planet or the entire universe is completely made out of diamonds. And then just recently, I want to say like a month or two ago, they discovered a universe parallel to ours where it seems that things move backwards.
Dude, so talk to a physicist and they'll tell you there's more than one universe.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, we've already established that.
But for, the sake of, what Roland said, alienating people with the flat earth theory, for those of you that don't believe in aliens, guess what? Aliens are real, because there is no way you convince me. There's nothing you can say, nothing you can show me, no piece of evidence that convince me that we are the only beings alive in this universe. You can't convince me. There are too many planets, too many stars, too much space, there's other people out there. There's other beings out there. There's other races out there. There's other species out there. And eventually we're going to meet. That's my belief.
No comment.
Don't roll your eyes like that. I'm telling you. All right, guys. Well, we're getting right up to that mark. Really, really good stuff. I just want to let all of our viewers, all of our listeners know that next week we do have a special treat for you guys. We are going to have a special guest on the show. Our cousin Sam is a DJ. He's a well-known DJ in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's actually well-known in different parts of the country as well. He's going to be on with us next week to discuss music and the rise of the internet DJ during the pandemic. All right. So Sam will be joining us next week. Guys, thanks for everything. Thanks for listening. Thanks for, if you get mad at our opinions, we're okay with that. Let us know. If you like what we're saying, we're good with that too. Let us know. We're all about open discussion. We're all about open dialogue. We want to hear from everybody. If you think we stink, leave us a comment. If you think we're good, leave us a comment. Hit like and subscribe down at the bottom. Hit the little bell so you get the notifications when our new content comes out. Also, remember to listen to us on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're trying to get out there to different forums as well, and soon we'll have our own website up, to which all of our back episodes are going to be logged, and all future episodes will be thrown on there. And I like to throw this out there to you guys and see what you guys think about this. But one of these times, I really would like to do a live episode, so that we can get feedback on the spot. We can have guests chime in. We can have commentators chime in. We'll work on that. Maybe working one day to get a live episode up. But thanks for everything, folks. We really appreciate all the support. And just keep continuing to listen. That's all I ask. And
even if you think space is SG,
that guys, I'm really trying to get this pushed on our Facebook page. We are up to 90 members on our Facebook page. So I want to throw this out there. Our 100th like on Facebook. I'm working on getting some t-shirts made. I want to get you guys a t-shirt for 100th like. On our Instagram page, we're moving on to 75 followers. When we get to 100 followers on our Instagram page, I want to get that person a t-shirt. So guys, continue to listen, continue to push this out there, share us, whatever you can do to help us out. We really appreciate it. So guys, that's our show for the week. Thanks for everything. Thanks guys for coming on again. And I know it was a little bit of a late night, a little bit some technical difficulties, but hey, we'll work through it. And thank you to Jesse P, because we couldn't do this without you.
Amen.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night.
Good night, guys.